Have you ever wondered how much of your life is shaped by choices, yours or someone else's? And what happens when someone else's choice tears your world apart? Before we begin, don't forget to share your thoughts about this story in the comments. What lessons did it leave you with? And if it moved you, please like and subscribe so you don't miss future stories. Let's begin. I can still see it clearly. The pale morning sun slanting through the worn blinds of our small apartment, casting long stripes of shadow across the cracked wooden floor. The kettle was whistling in the background, and the quiet hum of the city waking up filled the air. If someone had told me back then that a few words could break a heart beyond repair, I wouldn't have believed them. Not until that frostbitten November morning when my Darius, closed the door behind him, his footsteps echoing like gunshots through the empty rooms. I was standing there, holding our newborn twins, their soft breaths fluttering against my skin, and in that moment, I felt the entire fabric of my life rip apart. Before Darius Kingston, I never really believed in destiny. I'd moved to Chicago after college, fresh from earning my degree in design management. Full of ambition but broke in every way that counted. My days were a blur of applying for jobs, bouncing between freelance gigs, and sleeping on my cousin's couch. Then came Darius, the man I never expected to fall for. He was everything I wasn't looking for. Reserved, methodical, a man who measured his words and moved through life with quiet certainty. I first saw him at Lennox's Cafe on 53rd Street, sipping dark roast and reading Toni Morrison. When he glanced up and caught me staring, he smiled like he'd known me in another life. Darius wasn't flashy, though he easily could have been. He never flaunted the Kingston name, and it wasn't until months later, by accident, that I found out he was the only son of Celeste Kingston, the powerhouse real estate magnate whose name was practically engraved on half the buildings downtown. But that didn't matter to me then. He was just Darius, the man who listened to every word I said, remembered how I took my coffee, and supported my dream of opening my own design studio. We fell hard like people with nothing to lose. Late nights walking along Lake Michigan. Sunday mornings tangled in sheets. Laughing on the floor of my half-empty apartment. Building dreams we thought we could keep. When I found out I was pregnant, he wrapped me in his arms and whispered, "We'll figure it out, Ray. We're a team. Always." And for a while I believed him. But everything changed the night I met his mother. The Kingston estate was straight out of a magazine. Marble floors, gleaming chandeliers, and walls lined with portraits of ancestors I'd never heard of. Celeste Kingston welcomed me with a crystal flute of champagne and a perfectly polite smile that felt sharp enough to draw blood. She didn't have to say anything cruel aloud. Her gaze spoke volumes. "So Ray," she began, her voice as smooth as silk. "Darius tells me you're quite creative." Her eyes drifted down to my second-hand dress, pausing just long enough to make me feel microscopic. From that night on, everything shifted. Darius became distant, distracted, weighed down by long phone calls with his mother and tense family dinners where I was never invited. He assured me it was nothing, that we'd be fine. But the space between us widened with every passing day. When I went into labor, he was there, holding my hand, whispering that everything would be all right. But even in the delivery room as I cradled our babies, Noah and Nia, he kept glancing at his phone, responding to messages in hushed tones. We brought the twins home to our tiny apartment, their newborn cries bouncing off every wall. But Darius wasn't really there anymore. He came and went like a ghost, silent, restless, gone before sunrise and returning long after midnight. Then one morning I woke to find him sitting at the edge of the bed. His head bowed, shoulders slumped. "What's wrong?" I whispered, though I already knew. He didn't look at me when he said it. "I can't do this anymore, Ray." I froze, too stunned to speak. "I thought love was enough," he muttered. "But my mother was right. We don't belong in the same world. I'm sorry." He stood, grabbed his coat and walked out. The door clicked shut behind him, leaving me there, numb, holding our children, too shocked to even cry. Days blurred together. Barely ate. I ignored calls, texts, everything. I couldn't bear the pity in their voices. Bills piled up. My freelance clients vanished when they learned I couldn't work nights anymore. I sold what little I had: jewelry, furniture, old textbooks, to keep the lights on. But even at my lowest, I never stopped creating. One night, I hand-stitched a little jacket from scraps of denim for Noah and posted it online, more out of desperation than hope. To my surprise, someone messaged me the next day, asking to buy it. Soon more orders came. I began sewing while the twins napped, using every spare moment to pack and ship my tiny creations. I named the shop Little Roots. It wasn't much, but it was mine. There were still hard days. Times when I couldn't afford groceries or when the twins' fevers kept me up for nights on end. But I kept going, fueled by stubbornness and the memory of that slammed door. Within a year, I'd moved us into a small apartment in Bronzeville. Nothing fancy, but it had big windows and a little kitchen where we could bake cookies together. When a popular blogger tagged Little Roots on social media, everything changed. Orders flooded in from all over Chicago and beyond. I hauled packages to the post office with the twins in tow, working late into the night while they slept. By then, Darius was just a shadow in my rearview mirror. I heard rumors that he'd taken an executive job in Atlanta, that he was engaged to someone more suitable. I didn't care. My life was full. My business was thriving. My children were healthy and happy. Then, one rainy afternoon at a local market, everything collided again. I was helping a customer when I noticed someone staring. It was him. Darius. Older. Hollow-eyed. His once sharp suit rumpled from the rain. He approached slowly, his voice shaky. "Ray, I heard about everything you've done. You look amazing." I said nothing. Noah and Nia ran up to me, giggling. Darius's face crumbled at the sight of them. "I'm sorry, Ray," he whispered. "I should have stayed. I shouldn't have let them push me away." I crossed my arms, my voice calm but cold. "Why are you here?" He lowered his gaze, shame written all over him. "I gave everything up. My job, my mother's company. None of it mattered. I just needed you to know I regret it all." The words hung there between us, heavy as thunderclouds. "Thank you for saying that," I replied at last. "But we've already moved on." Darius nodded, blinking back tears. "I hope you're happy, Ray. You deserve it." Then, just like before, he walked away. Weeks later, I came home to find a letter tucked under my door. It was from him. He wrote that he'd left everything behind, that he was starting over with nothing but peace. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just wanted me to know he'd finally broken free. I folded the letter and tucked it away. Then I walked into the living room where my children were laughing, their joy filling every corner of our home. Some doors, once closed, are never meant to be opened again. If this story spoke to you, please like, comment, and share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe. There's always more to come.